the BirDie Golf Club podcast, available every single week, every Tuesday, without question, will be here. Sometimes the odd bonus episode will drop on a Thursday. I don't know why I keep moving my hands. Anyway, that's when we're here, and what would be great if you're enjoying the content, please follow the podcast, follow us on here, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. And always remember, it's such a great help if you can leave a review, ideally 5 stars. You know, don't be that guy. Don't leave 4 stars. If it's that good, leave 5. But it really helps the podcast, helps with visibility, makes it all worthwhile. You listening makes it worthwhile. But obviously, if we can grow and get bigger, then that's fantastic as well. And also go and check us out on Instagram. We're at BirDie Golf Club Podcast on there. And there's a variety of different content as well as clips from this podcast. Welcome to another episode of the BirDie Golf Club podcast. And today is a special one because we've got Martin Maritz joining us again. You remember Martin from a few episodes ago now, and his amazing storytelling of his time on the tour and the stories we got, and obviously his passion now for apparel that he creates through BirDie's and Bogey's golf gear. So Martin, thank you for coming back on. I know.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, and I look forward to having a nice chat with you about golf and strategy and everything else.
Exactly. This is a little bit of a self-indulgent episode in many ways, but I think it will be a really good insight for amateur golfers on how someone who played on the tour, someone played at a very high level, would approach a round of golf. Now, admittedly, I'm going to be doing it with how I hit the ball, which is probably a bit different to how Martin hits the ball. But I think it will just be a good insight. And we're going to be looking at a course over here that's sort of, I think it's classed as sort of Kent Way, and it is called Sweetwoods Golf Park Club, something or another. Sweetwoods Golf Park Club. Too many names.
That's a mouthful.
It's just Sweetwoods. That sounds much nicer.
Yeah.
And it's a course I've not played before, so I wanted to get a grasp on what that course is going to be asking of me from the tee as best we can. And we're going to be including a little bit of the visual when I can work out how to use these apps with the Pro Visualizer and everything like that. So before we start, before a round even begins, what would be your process stepping up to the club and what you would run through before you even go out there and play?
Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit before. Back in the day, before we had the wonderful technology and Google Maps and Google Earth, we played off of yardage books, and not every course would have a good yardage book. And so if you play a course blindly, and sometimes it's better to play a course blind because you don't know where all the trouble is, and you get to swing freely. But the yardage books, they were such a good tool. And especially, I'm a very visual person. So if it was drawn nicely and it had some good visuals on there, I'd add a few things, as far as maybe carry over a bunker or, whether it's 250 to get to the water, things like that. And then start adding pin placements on there based on the pin sheet for the day. That's how I usually got ready for a new golf course. And then as time progressed with, Google Maps and Google Earth, I would go play the course in my mind, maybe the night before and do the visual, the virtual flyover, look at each hole, see if most of them are dog legs right to left or left to right. And that would kind of get my mind ready for the next day. If my normal little draw shot would be good for this course, so I need to change it up a little bit. I always looked at the par threes, how long they were, and then when you warm up on the range before your round, you can almost play the par three on the range. Like, okay, I got a 160 par three, I got a 180, I got a 220. Let me hit those clubs, just to get ready.
Yeah, yeah,
I always thought
exactly.
that was a good idea. Yeah.
So did you find as the technology improved, did you find that um that was a help or a hindrance? So that thought of you were able to swing a little bit freer if maybe there was a bit of sort of mystique to the whole thing. Did
Yeah.
you find that actually as good as it is almost to visualize and play the course the night before in your head, did you find that
Mhm.
it actually made things a little bit more tricky, or was it definitely a help?
I'm more of a field player, so I don't need too much information. But then you have somebody like Matt Fitzpatrick that
Yeah,
keeps stats on every single shot. He probably keeps stats on his breakfast as well, what he had for breakfast, 7 weeks
crazy, isn't it?
ago,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a different
Whether it
kettle of
was soy
fish.
milk or regular milk, I don't know, but I am not like that.
No.
My mind is not wired that way. Um, I know Bernard Langer, I've heard stories about him back in the day, and he's still like that, and he's a machine.
Mm.
Where his caddy would walk off a yardage to his ball, and the caddy would say, "Okay, you got 167 to the pin," and he's like, "Okay, was that from the front of the sprinkler or the back of the sprinkler?"
Wow.
Th- those are just stories I heard. That's how intense and precise he is, German preciseness, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, now we've just got Adam Hadwin just smashing sprinklers instead,
I saw that. I saw that. I'm not gonna lie, I've done that one time before as well. And you learn very
It's so
quickly
good.
to not damage any golf course equipment. No, it's a bad look for
He's
sure.
clearly he's clearly not playing well, and then he's got a costly sprinkler head to replace as well, which isn't probably much
Yes,
fun.
and it was funny. That's actually something that I saw this weekend. Three or four players just losing their minds.
Mm,
Jordan Spieth.
yep.
I'm sure you saw that viral clip of him.
Mm.
Saw somebody else snap a sandwich in half. Somebody else threw a club down the fairway.
It's that
Um,
Florida swing, isn't it? All that wind
yeah,
that
it
they're having to deal with.
must be the heat or humidity getting to them. But
Pressure
yeah, it just
ramping up
seems like
before Augusta.
yeah, and you're not used to seeing three, four, five different guys doing,
No.
throwing little tantrums on the course.
Shows just how crazy the game of golf is. I mean, Vita Hovland winning being the
Yes.
epitome of that. I mean, the guy's
Hmm.
been so out of form, just been searching for game, and then suddenly wins a tournament. By and clutch as well, like coming in those last sort of three holes in
Yes.
one under
Hmm.
was impressive. Impressive. I don't know whether the same display is going to be happening tomorrow when I play Sweetwood. So that's the issue. That's the only issue, Martin. So I need your help. I
just
need your
just
help.
stay away from the sprinkler heads.
Okay, all right. I can do that. I can do that. I do get relief from them though, right?
Mm,
Okay. All
right.
right. Let's do a little. I'll share with you what I've got here, and then everyone at home can see as well. Right. Here we go. So this is the best I could do. This is provisualizer.com, which is
Hmm.
a very dramatic golf name, isn't it? Now I'm not sure if I can pick different spots. So this is the first hole you can see there. So we're going off of the rough estimation of where those tee boxes will be. Obviously, you have to use, preciseness is not going to happen on this, unfortunately, because of the software available.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, at least we can get an idea of what the holes are doing. So the first one is a dogleg right, and off of these, I think the first yellow circle is 200 yards, 250, 300.
Okay. Okay.
Essentially. That's the yardages we're looking at, and the green obviously is highlighted over there. I
Mhm.
won't be taking a direct line because I don't have that in me. You know,
Looks like
that
there's
does
a lot of trouble on the right hand side as well.
a lot of trouble on the right.
Yeah.
Clubhouse on the right,
Yeah.
by the looks of things, or an outbuilding
Yeah.
of some sort. The
Mhm.
range behind. So if you were looking at this whole Martin, first tee, would first tee come into play when you're thinking about this hole? The fact that it's that first shot, which always has a little bit more nerves, no matter
Oh,
who's there.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it also a lot of times depends on how your warm up went, or if you
Hmm.
just ran onto the first tee without even swinging a club.
Yep.
So that has a lot to do with it as well. And then also, is it an intimidating hole visually? You
Hmm.
know, if it's real narrow, you see a lot of trouble. Um, I always want to get off to a decent start. You know,
Yep.
if you can do a stressless, you know, middle of the fairway, middle of the green two putt and go to the next hole, you know,
Hmm.
that's always nice to start that way.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. So if you were looking at this, obviously, you know, the aggressive play is to end up sort of this spot down
Yes.
here,
Hmm.
obviously the right hand side.
Yeah.
But like you said, that brings in a lot of trouble with it.
Looks like it gets narrow in that area. Yes.
Gets narrow. From what I have seen
Yeah.
from flyovers, this is sort of relatively down, a slight downhill gradient to it as well.
Hmm.
Um, so would you be looking to get something out towards sort of where my cursor is now,
Yeah,
and
just
peeling
depending
back in?
on, you know, I have some favorite yardages that I have with wedge shots
Hmm.
and irons, you know, if if I can get a full 100 yards, 115, 130 yard shots, you know, that's what I'm going to try and aim for off the tee.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't want to hit a driver where I've got a 30-yard pitch shot.
Okay.
Um,
That's
I
interesting.
would, you
You're
know,
essentially, it's a saying I've heard, but one that I
mhm.
probably forget about. Almost play the hole backwards.
Yes,
Would
no,
that be generally
absolutely.
your approach with
Oh,
most
oh
shots?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
When I
Yeah.
look at yardage books, I always look at layup spots to my favorite yardages and then try and work it backwards that way. It's like, okay, I need a 165 yard shot to get to my 100 yard layup, you know, and
Right.
so a little bit of math involved, but yeah, you got to play to your strengths. Now, some other
Okay.
people, you know, if they're great at the 30-yard shots, you know, they might hit a driver off the tee.
Yes. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I've got another app open which gives me a little bit more precise sort of numbers really. And it's sort of giving me, you know, an adjusted yardage of around if I can mark it out here, around this spot here,
Yes.
is leaving you about 123 yards into the green,
Yeah.
which for me is like a full 52-degree, essentially.
Same. Hmm.
So would that be the shot that you'd be looking to try and hit on this hole to
Yeah,
try and get it to that nice
especially
full
off the
yardage?
first, yeah, especially off the first tee. You know,
Yeah.
whether that would be my driving iron or a three wood or something. Yes.
Well, that's 255. I mean, me being realistic, first tee, I'm probably going to hit a Healy cut, whether I want to or not. And that's
Yeah.
probably going to be driver,
Okay.
realistically. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not huge on length. If I get the ball out to 280, I'm pretty happy. Um, so generally on that one, you would probably go for yourself. It's probably looking like a driving iron of some
Yeah,
kind,
either three, depending
three
on
wood.
the conditions of the fairway. You know, if they're nice and firm, I just probably hit my driving iron and roll it down there to 240, 250, somewhere in there.
And you'd say for you know for someone like myself, obviously the amateur level, would you err on the side of caution on the first tee, or almost approach it like we're out here now? Let's hit the shot and commit to it.
You know, it's funny. I mean, the biggest club face club that you have is the driver.
Yeah.
So it should be the easiest club to hit.
Hmm.
As long as you stay within your swing and don't try and hit it too hard and just swing it nice and smooth on the first hole, should be just
Hmm.
fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to commit with driver on the first tee then. That's it. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And if it goes wrong, I'll call
You
you,
can blame me.
and you know, we'll get it. So driver first tee, leaving that 120
Mhm.
sort of spot would be ideal. A couple of full shots is
Yeah.
kind of what you want to ease into a round, isn't it? At the end of the day, I think it's
Yes.
elevated tee box as well. Let
Yes.
me see if I can change now to the second hole. Make sure I've got this
Mhm.
right. Yep. So it's this one just here that we've got in the
Okay.
picture now. Tee box is back sort of over here somewhere, I believe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's pretty good. I got it about bang on. That's good.
Okay.
So it's this one here that we can see running down here. It's a par four, um, seventh hardest hole on the course. Some bunkers come into play, which we obviously haven't had to deal with on the first.
Yeah. And the
Again, you'll
first
be
yellow circle is how much?
200 yards
200.
to the first yellow from that rough tee position of back there.
Okay.
250 sort of comes in before that second bunker. And then
Okay.
obviously 300 just comes in before the water hazard on the right.
Gotcha.
So again, we're looking at playing it backwards that hole, um, seeing those full shots. Again, would the bunkers obviously they're going to come into your mind because that first bunker is going there you're struggling for par essentially from there.
Yeah.
The second bunker that's one of the hardest shots in golf.
Yeah,
It,
where it's not quite a full swing, maybe.
yeah, so somewhere in between those two bunkers would that be
Yeah,
the
that
play
would
you'd
be
be looking at?
ideal. That would be ideal. And it almost looks like the ideal line off the tee is right edge of the first bunker.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
just and and then just got to work out the distance between the two bunkers and just try and split the difference. It's
Okay.
kind of what it looks like to me.
Yeah. My general shot shape's a bit of a cut with the driver. Everything else sort of just straight to draw
Mm.
shaped. Although I'm going through some things at the moment, Martin. I've got a grip change.
Oh,
I've got I've got to turn way more because I had a very strong right hand and that's been weakened off now. So I'm just gonna see what I've got tomorrow when it comes to shot
yeah,
shape. But I suspect a cut because I'm having to turn a lot more
yeah.
into the shot. So picking that sort of spot there. And then obviously the water hazard comes into play on the right hand side there. That sort of love heart water hazard
Hmm.
that's going on. With that, there's a lot of people that say don't even say water.
It it seems like it's got magnetic powers for the ball sometimes.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. So would you say on that it's okay to address the fact that it's there because at the end of the day you don't want to end up there.
Yeah.
So in your planning, would that come into it at all?
You know, I've worked with a lot of sports psychologists before, and your brain doesn't understand don't hit it
Yeah.
there, you know. So I know it's not easy to do, but I always try to get a positive thought in my mind before I took the club back.
Hmm.
And especially if there's water out of bounds, things like that, I think it's always important to maybe have a conservative strategy or game plan, but go ahead and make an aggressive swing, if that makes sense. Instead of, okay, I'm gonna hit a driver on this one, but I'm gonna baby it and swing really, I'm trying to steer it down the fairway. And most of the
Yeah.
time that's when things go bad.
Yeah.
Um, so it's always important to commit to the shot and still swing aggressive in my mind.
I've heard the saying of be aggressive to conservative targets. Would that be something that
Yes.
you'd support? So,
Yes,
and
exactly.
and how precise would you be with that? Because obviously there's you see sort of varying when you watch sort of like tour level golf. You'll see a
Hmm.
guy say like, I was watching Live the other week and they had like just the eight that's behind the green. That's it. But then you see another guy and he's almost like see that branch which is sticking out
Hmm.
above the other branch. Would you
Yeah.
err on the side of being try and be more precise, or would you err on the side of just pick a rough location? Which one of those would
I think the more precise, the better, because then your room for error is bigger. Instead
Mhm.
of picking a big,
Yeah,
oh, I'm going to hit it at the tree. Okay, let's hit it at the trunk of the tree.
yeah,
That's what was so impressive about Nick Faldo when he won. I think it was at Muirfield
Hmm.
back in the 90s with the British Open where he made 18 pars on the final round.
Yes. Yeah.
And what he did was aimed for the middle of the green on every hole. If the flag was on the right, he'd try to hit a little baby cut in there.
Hmm.
Flag was on the left, he'd try and hit just a little baby draw, but middle of the green every hole, and made 18 pars and won the claret jug. And that always stuck
Amazing.
with me too. It's
Under that
just pick.
pressure as well.
Yeah, amazing. And I know he was number one in the world, and swing was great and all that, but still pretty darn impressive. Yeah.
That's yeah, very, very,
Mhm.
very impressive. So anyway, what we'll do, we'll skip forward a few holes. We'll go to, if I can find it, we'll go to the par three. I'm looking for water. There we go. It's this one just here.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So we got tee position of just here, and we've got pin position. We'll go sort of middle-ish of the green,
Yeah.
and that I'll give you yardage based on the other app. Like I said, I wish there was something better than this on here, but we can get. Oh, there we go. Plays like 160.
163. Yeah.
Yeah, slight elevation,
Okay.
but nothing too crazy. Obviously, you got the
Mhm.
water in front, which any, I think for any level of golfer, it adds, um, it adds that feeling to it, doesn't it? At the end of the
A
day,
little intimidation factor. Yeah.
there's some consequences for
Yeah.
not hitting this ball well.
Definitely.
And you got the two bunkers sort of at the front of the green, which are,
Yeah.
and from what I know about, I do know something about this hole. It has the biggest false front um, around near
Hmm.
us. So essentially, the false front runs all the way back down to that path that just sits.
Oh, I
Um,
see.
yeah, and I think this time of year it might get stuck essentially, but
Mhm.
in the summer you could potentially end up back in the water if that ball picks up enough speed.
So that brings up a great point. I when I was working out yardages in the yardage book, I
Mm,
always had my front of the green, back of the green, middle of the green.
mm-hmm,
So with a false front like that, obviously all the trouble is in the front.
mm-hmm,
So when you pick your club and say the pin is 165 and
mm-hmm.
the false front starts at 150, you want to make sure you hit enough club to where it's going to fly at least 155, 160 in the
Yeah.
air and not even mess with that false front. Maybe error on the side of maybe hitting one extra club and hitting it at the back of the green.
Yes.
Um,
So
and if
backyardage essentially.
yeah, yeah, and if all the troubles over the back of the green, hit something that is not going to fly 180.
Yeah.
Whether you 10 yards short on the green, much safer than going at the pin and going over.
And also just looking at sort of side to side as well, essentially. So which side would you pick to give you
Mhm.
a bit more insight as well? I've done a bit
Yeah.
of YouTubing of this course, and there is fortunately guys playing the course.
Hmm.
And it's like Dan Hendrickson Golf did around there. There's elevation to the right hand side of the green, so you'd be chipping
Hmm.
down onto the green,
Okay.
and it's sort of and then it drops away towards the trees, almost encouraging you towards the trees.
Yeah.
If you were looking at a safe side of the green there, would you pick the elevated side so that it drops down, more likely to kick down and onto the green? Or would you pick the side where you're chipping back up the hill?
I would go up the hill. Up
Okay.
the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just always a lot easier, going into the grain, into the slope, to stop and a chip shot or a pitch
Yeah.
shot, always going downhill or just going away from you makes it a little bit tougher, in my
That's
opinion.
interesting. So I think most amateur golfers would look at that pin that hole, that
Yeah.
green, and see that there's almost like this helping slope going on
Yeah.
up here,
Uh-huh.
and think, oh, I can use that to
Yeah.
come down and onto it. But in essence, if you end up on top of it,
Yeah,
then
it's going to make it very, very
doubles
tough.
start coming
Yeah.
into play
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
everything like that. So that's
Hmm.
interesting. That is interesting. What I'll do is I'll find another hole that we can. So in your warm up, Martin, if you were aware of that hole there, Would you do anything more specific than just finding, so say it's playing 163 yards, would you do anything more specific when picking targets at the range to prepare for that hole other than
Absolutely.
just the yardage?
Especially, and I used to get all four yardages of the par threes, you know,
Hmm.
um, write it down in the yardage book and then go to the range and pick the clubs I would hit on that hole and just hit three or four with each club just to and imagine a pin or a tree or some kind of target on the range.
Hmm.
And especially if it's a difficult hole, if there's trouble
Yeah.
on the right, maybe there's a water hazard, maybe work on a little cut shot or
Yeah.
um so yes, I think, and especially if you hit a couple of good ones on the range, you could use that as kind of good mojo going into that hole.
Yes. Yeah. So just dialing it in basically as
Yeah,
best as you possibly can
yeah.
before it. And would you, because obviously we spoke about the fact that when they were dialing in their the wind and everything like that as well. Would
Hmm.
you try your best to even just ascertain what the wind is doing on that first tee box? Obviously if it's
Yeah,
not that breezy a day, then it doesn't really come into play too much.
yeah. Hmm.
Would you try and just work out what that is? As it is with Sweetwoods, the range faces the same direction as that first tee box anyway.
Yes.
But
No, that helps a lot. And that brings up, the Rory McIlroy playoff
yeah.
the other day at the Players Championship, where the
Hmm.
wind was blowing, I think 35, 40 miles an hour,
Hmm.
very breezy. And so they were obviously going to play a very tricky par three on the 17th hole. I don't know what the yardage was. I think maybe around 145 ish,
Yes. Yeah.
something like that. But, Rory picked an angle on the range to mimic the wind direction. He
Hmm.
had his TrackMan right behind him, and he hit 20 shots to dial in that exact feel and how he had to what trajectory he had to hit his shot. And he stepped up onto that 17th hole and hit a beautiful, I think, a little smooth 9-iron to about 15 feet, and that
Yeah.
probably won him the tournament.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
if you're able to do it, I think it's great. Not everybody has a TrackMan with them every day, but
No.
you can at least try and simulate the wind direction or try and get that feel.
Well, that's the beauty of most of these courses now are bringing in sort of top tracers and stuff like that. Obviously,
Hmm.
they're not as accurate as
Yeah.
your Trackmans and your GC quads and everything like that, but it at least gives you something to work off and can make your practice
Hmm.
competitive as well, can't it?
Yes.
Which is obviously really good. What you've
Hmm.
got to not do, which I've got to refrain from doing tomorrow, is hitting 100 balls before you go out and play,
Yeah.
because you might have hit
You're
your
gonna
good
wear
ones.
yourself thin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've set myself a 30 ball target tomorrow, and to take at least half an hour hitting those 30 balls. That's going to be my game plan, if not a little bit longer.
And you might waste
Um,
all your good shots on the range too.
yeah, yeah. I can't afford to. There's not that many good ones. There's not that many good ones around. So
Yeah.
it is a match tomorrow.
Mhm.
With Chris, who's at ksb.golf on Instagram, and he's given me 10 shots,
Okay.
which I thought initially was a bit of an insult because last time we played, there was only three in it.
Okay.
Um, he has beaten me by 10 shots before, but that was a while ago. But I said I'd be silly not to take them. So I'm
Yeah.
going to take him. And that's his problem. If I
Hmm.
beat him, that's completely his problem. So that's the scene for it. So if I've got to start think from the green backwards. That seems to be one of the
and
key
it's
takeaways.
And especially, with the 10 strokes, I'm assuming you're going to be playing match play hole by hole, or
No,
is it total
we can do
score?
stroke play. Yeah, we're gonna do stroke play.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
yeah,
different strategy for stroke play versus match play. I was always a very, very good match play player, and I loved match play because, you can have a blow up hole or two and still win the match.
yeah,
And there's so much strategy involved because depending on what your opponent does, if they hit in the trouble, I would make sure I hit a 5 iron off the tee just to hit it in the fairway.
Yeah,
Even if you make bogey, you're gonna beat him on the hole, and then you move on
yeah,
to the next one. And that's what I love about match play.
yeah.
And usually
Unfortunately,
the first, um,
it's not match. It's annoying. Yeah,
yeah,
because I would quite fancy it in match play, especially if he's giving me that many shots. I
10
mean, a lot of the
strokes, yes.
holes,
Yeah.
it just becomes
Hmm.
damage limitation essentially on all the holes. You know,
Yeah.
I'd
Hmm.
hit just a ton of 7 irons. You know,
Yeah.
no problem at all. You know, it might take
Hmm.
me 3 to get there, even
Yeah.
on a par 4. But yeah. So we're doing stroke play. So with that being the case, does it almost become on the 10 hardest holes on the course, just limit that damage?
I was going to say limit the damage, keep the double bogeys off the card.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of it has to do with the strategy on how you're going to attack the hole.
Yeah.
Um, like we were saying, conservative game plan, but aggressive swing instead of aggressive game plan and not committing to your shots. Yeah.
That sounds like my normal round of golf. Just
Yeah.
suddenly to step up on a tee box and go, I've
Yeah.
never hit this shot before, but I think
But
I've got it in my locker.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm gonna give it a
but
go.
that leads us nicely into the because a lot of the holes, they sort of speak for themselves based on the advice that you've given, or essentially of,
Yeah.
work from that green backwards, find a yardage that you would like to hit, and whether that's a par 5, that means obviously laying up,
Hmm.
or it may mean going for it. It depends
Yeah.
on what it is. Speaking of that, before we get onto this hole,
Mhm.
par 5s, would you say in general, I'm a 12 handicapper. Would you say in general laying up is normally the best option on a par 5
I
to
think for
give
the
yourself
average
three
player,
shots?
yes, yes, and especially if you can work out, like we talked about before,
Mm,
what's your favorite club in the bag? Is it a 9 iron? Is it your gap wedge? Whatever it may be, and then try and get that second shot towards that kind of yardage.
yeah.
I just think I make a lot more birdies laying up versus going for it. Because
Okay.
a lot
Yeah.
of times they have the par 5 greens, tricked out, small, lots of trouble.
Yeah.
And, if you mess up with your second shot, you can turn a birdie opportunity into a bogey opportunity very quickly. But if you lay up, most of the time you're not going to make bogey.
Yeah.
But you still have that opportunity to make a nice birdie.
That makes sense. I mean, my favorite club in my bag is probably my 8 iron.
Hmm.
Um, I just feel like I can, the length of it, everything. I feel like I can turn onto it. I can sequence up nicely.
Yeah.
So essentially, put yourself in position to play an 8 iron as many times as possible in a round, if that's your favorite club.
If
Yeah,
that's your favorite club, yes.
that makes it. You know what? That is such a simple thing, but for some reason, it never comes into my mind when I play golf. I find
Yeah.
myself with a 4 iron in my hand too many
Yeah.
times because I'm trying to push it, and
Yeah.
if it goes
Trying to
well,
go for
great.
everything.
But
Mhm.
that can get a little bit squirrely on me if it wants
Yeah.
to. So we're looking at the 16th now, but you see here
Okay.
that's the tee position just up here,
Yeah.
and then pin position is down sort of. I'll put it that sort of rough area, middle of the green, obviously. Now this one would be one of those holes where we were just talking about earlier, where you start to get a little bit aggressive. Obviously, we're talking 277 yards.
Oh, wow. For a par three?
This is par 4. So this is
Oh,
drivable
okay.
par 4,
Okay.
but your line is pretty much over these trees
I
here,
see. I see. Hmm.
and you've got water behind, bunkers in front. Let's dream up a scenario. Okay, so we're going into the last 3 holes,
Hmm.
and say I've got 3 shots to play with. So I've lost 7, but I've got 3 to play with.
Yeah.
I've been driving the ball pretty well. I've been driving the ball, maybe, that sort of pretty consistent cut. I feel comfortable with it. Now, are we saying on this, and you can correct me here because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure what I'm saying is the wrong strategy, but it's fun to think of.
Yeah.
Am I aiming for this little spot right here with a nice little cut and just going for it. Is that a good play in that
with the three
situation?
shot lead, um, man,
I'm
that
feeling
was going
good
to
with
be
the driver. I've been
that was
driving
going to
it
be my
well.
first question. Okay, where does the match stand? You know, if you were three behind, I would say absolutely go for it.
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
um, and number two, if you're confident with your driver swing and you've been swinging it nicely all day, I would say go for it.
Okay.
But if you're not, it wouldn't hurt just to hit a 5 iron down the right side, and leave
Yeah.
yourself, you know,
Sort of over here.
125 yards or something like that into.
Because I guess with this hole as well, it's obviously looking at risk and reward, isn't it,
Yes.
of doing these things. And essentially, even playing that 5 iron, you've still got this shot to deal with,
Hmm.
haven't you? I mean, say
Yeah, there's still risk. Yes.
you're probably getting, for me, a 5 iron sort of generally is around that 200-yard mark, something like
Yes.
that. So we're sort of here, and we've still got to play this shot with loads of water behind.
Hmm.
The thin could come into play. We don't talk about
Right.
it, but it could come into play, right?
Yes.
Um, whereas if you take driver and say you overcut it, you know, realistically probably ending up sort of over this sort of way if you're hitting a bit of a heely cut. Worst case over here, or here. I guess you
Hmm.
could get into this tree line, but the shot is still there to play, isn't it? From that position.
Yeah, and even if you hit it and you overshoot it into the water hazard, you know, you take your drop and you can still up and down it for a par.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, so there is some of that risk reward. If you go for it, you can still salvage, you know, something.
yeah,
Uh, unless it's a lost ball, then you got to re-tee.
yeah. Which isn't much fun.
Yeah.
Which isn't
No,
much fun
not at
at all.
all. Not at all.
That's giving me some food for thought on that hole. I think it's quite.
Yeah.
I actually think this is a really clever hole,
Mhm.
um, because it definitely, like you said, that there's risk and there's reward with pretty much whichever shot you decide to play. And like you said, if it ends up at the back of the green and over into the water, well, you've still got a chance to get up and down for par.
Yes.
And it may essentially be almost an easier play in that way. So
Hmm.
we're gonna go with that one if I'm playing well and if I'm hitting driver well and I'm feeling good.
Three, and you're
If
three
I'm
up.
yeah, if I'm three shots down, I
Yeah.
I go for it no matter what, even if the driver's
Hmm.
been awful the whole day. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to pull a rabbit out of the hat
Yeah.
by then. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty much me all day
Hmm.
probably. So what we do is I'll go on to the 18th. Martin, if I can find it, I've got to find this green. There we go. So we got the 18th, which we've got this one here. Okay. Do a bit of adjusting on here, setting the T position, which is back here, I believe. Yep. Yes. Yeah. I might be have to go a little bit further back than that, but that gives you. So we're going down to this green just down
Hmm.
here with this little trio of bunkers.
Yeah, that looks interesting.
That looks like you don't want to be there,
No.
doesn't it? That looks like that was set up for a reason.
Yeah, and they're probably gonna have the pin tucked just over those three bunkers.
Just here. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
probably.
Without a doubt. Without
Yeah.
if they saw that we were coming, maybe they'd probably
Hmm.
do that for us, which would be really nice, wouldn't it? This becomes quite a narrow hole. Obviously, the
Hmm.
further up you get, you got a bit more room beforehand. Par four is playing the fourth hardest hole on the course. Again, looking at this, obviously the last hole of a match, it could potentially be a little bit in the balance, just generally as a last hole of your
Hmm.
round. If you've put together a nice round, the where would you again? Would you look from going from the green back with this, even though, for instance, there's this is a narrow section, would that make it a little bit more difficult to work from the green backwards, essentially? on this hole
Yeah,
with
the
this.
the only good thing is there's not a lot of other trouble other than trees.
Hmm.
It looks like no fairway bunkers.
No.
What is the total yardage on the hole?
Total
Do
yardage
you know?
on this hole is 370 ish.
17. Okay.
376, something
Hmm.
like that. Yeah.
Again, just depending on how confident you are with your swing, how you've been hitting the driver. Um, it looks like it sets up perfectly for like just a little baby cut.
Yeah.
It looks like it maybe bends slightly to the right, and the green also sits that way. So it looks like
Hmm.
it sets up really nice for your game.
And as far as like targets, would you be looking over this sort of left hand side as we're looking at? Obviously, we're looking at it a bit backwards because I still haven't worked
Yeah,
out how to adjust this
yeah.
to the way
It,
you
it
want it
it
to be.
almost it almost looks like it goes right back to the clubhouse as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would just pick something in the distance,
Yep.
kind of zone in on something pretty specific, whether it's a one of the windows or a chimney or something in the clubhouse,
Hmm.
and then just kind of swing away and commit to that shot.
To be something, where my
Yeah, some
cursor
in
is
that
down
area.
here,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
maybe a little window
Yeah.
or something like that, sort of almost slightly over this sort of tree line.
Yes, down the left side. Yeah. Because because if you hit it down the left, it looks like that green, the way it sits, you're gonna hit
Hmm.
right down the middle of the green.
Yeah,
So the
you're giving
angle of
yourself more
attack
to
would be
work with.
great. Yeah, more to work with.
Yeah, and with these, I know generally sort of pros are not too fussed about bunkers. You'd almost like
Hmm.
to be in them sometimes because it gives you that
Sometimes,
control.
yeah. Better than the rough. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, a big jumpy lie out of the rough or something like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So on your approach, say the pin is tucked, and say you've hit a good drive, you're looking to end the round well. You're trying to be a little bit more aggressive with it. Now, this probably won't be my strategy tomorrow, but I think it's
Hmm.
interesting for people. Say they are chasing that shot that they need, heading down the last. Pin is tucked here. Would you still at that point just be looking at middle of the green, even if you're desperately trying to chase a score?
I think if you're in the middle of the fairway with a decent yardage, I would go right at it. But most importantly, I would get that minimum distance to carry that bunker or
Hmm.
the three bunkers, whatever distance that may be, and just be very mindful of that. If
Hmm.
you hit, you just have to hit a club where you're confident, okay, if I hit a normal out the sweet spot shot, there's no way the bunker's ever going to be in play.
Yeah.
So it just comes down to club selection. But
Okay.
then go ahead and because it doesn't look like it's going to be a very long second shot,
Hmm.
um, it'll stop quickly. So you can go ahead and just be aggressive with it.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a plan to me. I mean, obviously, I didn't want to run you through every single hole that was there because I think the points that you made sort of will resonate with listeners as well. The fact of
Hmm.
generally first port of call is to go to the when you go to the range, don't go and mindlessly hit balls. Go and
Yeah.
purposely par three yardages is key, I guess, and then also find
Mhm.
your favorite club and see how you're hitting that club, the distance that you're hitting that club that day. And say if you haven't had time to look up beforehand or anything like that on the shots. I mean, most people now are using
Hmm.
sort of stats or some kind of
Yeah.
GPS or just rangefinders.
Mhm.
Find that yardage that you're most comfortable with your favorite club or your favorite few clubs. Work back from the green and just try and get to those points, um, and stay away from the clubs that are perhaps causing you some issues on the range that day. Don't be afraid of doing that. I think
Yeah.
people I think
Yeah.
people are afraid of doing it. I think I'm
Hmm.
afraid of doing it. I think I'm
Yeah.
afraid of if I hit them bad on the range, I sort of feel like no, I need to continue to hit this club and hit it well eventually. And that's crazy, isn't
Well,
it? Why do I do that?
Yeah, and it's funny. I've had some of the best warm-up sessions before a round, and I've shot an 80, and
Yeah.
then some other times I've wanted to withdraw from the tournament because the warm-up session was so bad. Hitting chunks and shanks and all of the above. I did that one time in the South African Open. It was the second round at Durban Country Club, and I was this close to withdrawing because I thought I was going to shoot a 90. End up shooting a 63,
No
but
way. Wow.
and you just never know,
Yeah.
So it's not all about the warm up, but I think you just set yourself up for success by getting into the same routine over and over again.
Yeah.
It's and then also sometimes I play the whole course on the driving range.
Hmm.
I'll hit a driver and then okay, based on how that one felt, you'd think, okay, I have 120 yards left. Okay, let me hit a wedge on the next one instead of just mindlessly just hitting driver,
Yeah.
driver, driver.
Yeah.
Kind of have some kind of strategy involved.
Because I think yeah, a lot of people will go and they'll pick a club and they'll hit it 10 times before a
Hmm.
round. But you're never doing that, are you, in a round? You're
No,
not,
never.
unless,
It's
unless you
always
literally take
changing.
one club out there with you and just
Yeah.
hit that over and over again, which could, like, let's not rule it
Yeah.
out as a strategy. That
Hmm.
could come into play tomorrow. That would be very funny just to take one club
Yeah.
and a putter. But you're not doing that. So vary your practice, make it real world stuff that you can then apply
Yes.
to out on the course. Hit
Hmm.
driver, then guesstimate. I mean, like we said, with
Yeah. Yeah.
advances in technology, you almost don't even have to. You could potentially go and play a course which has similar characteristics on the driving range
Yes.
now,
Hmm.
but equally don't get carried away and hit
Hmm.
80 shots, 90 shots before you go out and play.
Yeah. No, right. And that's why it's important to get the speed of the greens down on the putting green
Yes.
too. I always finished, I would do a range session and then, 5 or 10 minutes before I go to the first tee, go to the putting green, make sure you make a couple of 3, 4, 5 footers right at the end just to get a little confidence going,
Hmm.
and hit some long putts back and forth all over the green to see how they roll down the hill, up the hill, side hill. I don't think people do that enough. And then they get on the first green and they have no idea what the speed of the greens are, things like that. So that helps.
I saw a good tip the other day that was essentially you set up, you find yourself a putt, whatever it may be, left to right, right to left, and you set up two balls at, you know, 10 foot away,
Hmm.
two balls at 20 foot away, and then another two balls 25 plus foot away. And you put a flag, within that sort of gimme range. We're doing ball in hole tomorrow, but within that
Uh-huh.
gimme range. And you hit your putt, and your aim is just to get it within that gimme range
Hmm.
on every single one that you hit. And if you can't do it, you just rinse and repeat and go back
Yeah, do
again.
it again. Yes.
And that will at least give you, because I mean, the amount of times I've gone out and played around and I've got carried away at the range and I maybe have either completely ignored the putting green or
Hmm.
have hit three putts, missed all of them, and then gone out on the course. And
Hmm.
it's just not setting yourself up for success, is it?
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
on a good, on a reasonable day as an amateur, you're two putting everything. That's
Hmm.
36 shots,
Yeah, that's a lot.
and you're not practicing it before you go out.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't know why. I don't know why I continued to do it. It's one of my goals for this year is to always practice putting before I go out and play on the course.
Yeah.
Always spend
People
more
just
time on that.
people just want to go to the range and hit that driver and see how far they can hit it for the day, but that's not how you score.
No, no, and you're going to use
Yeah.
up that one.
Yeah.
And with chipping as well, Martin, would you spend like a decent amount of time just practicing those shots in and around the green? Because what I see when I go to chipping areas, is people practicing chips from the fringe,
Hmm.
and I think you're not going to hit that shot out on the course. If you're on the
Yeah.
fringe, you're probably putting it because
Probably going to putt it. Yeah. Yeah,
what would
I
you
would
do
throw
for that?
some random balls all over the practice green and get different lies, uphill, downhill, in the rough. Hit a couple of sand shots to get used to the feel of the sand as well, because every
Hmm.
course is different.
Hmm.
Some have very thick sand and thick and fluffy, and some it's very firm. So
Yeah.
to get the feel, yeah, that's usually my normal routine. About an hour before my tee time is just,
Hmm.
do a little bit of everything, get the
Okay. Yeah.
feel in the hands, and okay, this is what my chipping feels like today, and yeah.
And don't make your practice too easy. Throw those
No,
balls
no,
away
because
as well.
yeah, it's like we said. I mean, if you stand there and hit 20, 30 of this exact same chip shot, you're gonna figure it out at
Yeah.
some point.
It's nice though, isn't it, when you get really good at it and you sort of go.
I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to get good at chipping.
I remember you saying in the previous that you had chipping yips
Yeah,
for a while, and I
yeah.
take it that's over now. The chipping yips are over.
No, it's still every now and then it'll peek its head out, and it all depends on the first chip shot of the day. If I hit a good one on the first one, I'm
Yeah.
good for the day. But if the first one's bad, oh,
Oh
look
no.
out.
I don't think I'm even good enough to understand whether I have the chipping yips or not. It's always a
It's
little
just a
bit.
bad chip shot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bad chip shot. I mean, I went for a lesson the other day, and we worked on quite a few things, and the chipping technique was one of them, because I
Hmm.
was very neutral stanced with my chipping, and
Hmm.
yeah, Mark, the coach, got me just to shift that weight forward. He's like, there's not enough time between
Yeah.
that club coming up and that club coming down for you to properly shift your weights. Just set and go,
Hmm. And leave it alone.
and
Yeah.
and leave it alone. But then I accompanied that with a grip change, and then I just hosel rocketed. Like, I went
Uh,
to the range and hosel rocketed like 10 chips in a row, where I was trying
uh,
to adjust to a slightly
uh,
more open face.
mm,
So I'm scared a little bit of that tomorrow.
mm,
I may go back to a stronger grip for chipping, just to
yeah.
make it work through the round, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
Well, I wish you luck tomorrow, and hopefully some of these strategy tips pay big dividends. And are you guys playing for a little bit of something, or pride, or
Just pride, and the whole
yeah?
thing will be, we're gonna do. We haven't worked out the exact format yet, but it's going to be released on Instagram,
Oh,
um,
excellent.
kind of like in an old style of YouTube videos. You remember when it was
Hmm.
sort of everything was cut into three holes, and you had
Yes.
to wait for part one, part two, part three,
Hmm.
part four. We're not sure how we're going to do it yet. It might even be hole by hole,
Hmm.
and just share it between our two Instagram pages. But
Yeah.
that will add an element to it as well, actually. Because playing under, admittedly they're not TV cameras, but still being
Hmm.
aware of it. What would your advice be on that? On the fact of almost getting out of your mind that there's footage going on behind you. Did you have a strategy
It's
in place for that?
no, I mean, every now and then, obviously, when you're in contention at a tournament on tour, the cameramen follow you on every hole, every shot.
Mm.
It gets intimidating sometimes because you're getting ready to hit your shot out of the fairway, and somebody's running behind you and gets the camera set up. So
Yeah,
if, it's not easy to block that out sometimes.
yeah,
But that's why you just have to really focus in on what you're trying to achieve, and go through your routine, and
yeah,
then yeah, you don't even think about what's behind you.
yeah, yeah. I've got a couple of things that I've got in my mind for tomorrow that I'm just gonna, when I settle down. So I've got in my mind, I think, right, I'm gonna have to set up the camera
Hmm.
behind me. That's going to be, so that's not even part of the golf shot. That's
Yeah.
not part of any routine. I'm going to set up the camera. Once I walk away from that and know that that's set up correctly, I've just got a couple of things in my mind, which are, um, shift weight
Mhm.
and turn. They're my
Yeah.
two thoughts
Keep it
tomorrow,
simple. Keep it simple. Yeah.
because I found myself getting a little stuck in my left hand side,
Hmm.
through my backswing, where I'm obviously focusing on rotation, and
Hmm.
I just need to get into my back foot and then get back into my lead foot and rotate as much as I possibly can, which I'm finding incredibly difficult. But because you have to trust it, right?
Yeah.
I got a bit handsy, and I
Handsy.
didn't even
Yeah.
realize. I went
Mm.
from a extreme fader of the ball to a draw of the golf ball, and I had done it all through my hands pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. Without body rotation.
Yeah,
Makes
so I've
sense.
now got to rotate my body, and my body's not used to it. So everything hurts.
Body won't listen. Yeah.
But thanks, Mark. I think they are
Yeah.
amazing advice for everyone listening, because it's it's simple things really, but I think as amateurs we overcomplicate the game almost sometimes,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
try and take too much out of the equation that is golf by thinking, you know, I've got to get to this spot here to then try and hit this club which I don't hit very well, and
Hmm.
to hit your lowest scores, hit your best shots, and if your best shots are different to someone else's, then play your own game. Um,
and
the
and and
case,
and
yeah,
try and hit the shots that you're comfortable with hitting. Don't hit something that you don't have in your toolbox.
yeah. And case in point,
Just yeah.
I've got a friend tomorrow. I know the driver won't come out of his bag for the entire day, and he's got
Mm.
comfortable with that because he's like, I can't hit my driver at the moment, but I
Hmm.
can hit my 7 wood.
Yeah,
So I know all day he's just going to hit his 7 wood off
it's
the
seven
tee,
wood. Yeah.
and I know he's probably going to end up beating me, and we're not even having a match just because
Yeah.
he's got that shot dialed in. It's a
Hmm.
it's literally a 190 to 200 shot, but
Oh.
he's down the middle. He doesn't
Mhm.
miss many fairways. He nearly hit every fairway and around the other day, actually, which was unbelievable. It's an amazing achievement. No matter what club's in your hand, it's a great
Yeah.
achievement. So
Hmm.
get comfortable playing the shots that you play well.
Yep.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip to
Hmm.
people, and work from the greens backwards, and
Yep.
just imagine low scores, and eventually they might come your way.
You
Yeah,
never know.
you never know. You never
Never
know.
know. Might have the
Uh,
round of your life.
I appreciate it. Anything going on with birdies and bogeys that you want to sort of talk about at all? Anything?
Oh, we just had a very successful expo over the weekend. We launched a bunch of new prints and designs that we are taking into some of the local shops here. So we're excited about that. And it's one thing I'm even more excited about, and I won't mention the company right now, but you never know who you're going to meet at some of these expos,
Hmm.
and a lady shows up at our booth, starts chatting about some of our polos that I have displayed over there. And she's like, man, I love the material. Are you guys local? I'm like, yeah, we're a local company. And she goes, well, we are in the market to redo all of our polos for our employees nationwide. And this is a nationwide company. And apparently they have close to 10,000 employees.
Wow.
And this could turn on into a huge deal for us,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so we actually set up a meeting for this Thursday, and we're going to go show them, some of the options that are available to them. And man, I'm so excited. And you just never expect,
yeah,
just right person at the right time, liking what you have to offer.
yeah.
And it's all, I saw the logo on her husband's, he had like a fleece top, and I was like, oh, is that the company you're talking about? I'm like, I know exactly what that company is. And she was kind of shocked I knew what the logo said, and so it was just kind of an instant connection. And um so yeah, we're very excited about that. We're trying to get into more of the corporate world as well,
Hmm.
because of volume
Yeah,
sales there. And we're doing a couple of car dealerships and some universities. And if we can get this manufacturing client to buy a couple thousand polos, that'd be great.
oh wow, I got chills when you said that.
Yeah.
It's that bigger. I can only imagine your excitement for. I bet this week
Oh,
seems
so
a long
excited.
one leading up to it,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Cannot wait for that meeting. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, I hope that goes well, Martin, because
Yeah,
you
thank
deserve
you.
it. The quality of the stuff, like we spoke about last time, is second to none. So I'm sure
Wonderful.
they'll love. I'm sure they'll love everything
Yeah.
you have. That's
No, thank you. I'll keep you updated. I'll let you know on Friday how the meeting
please
went.
do. Yeah, yeah, please
Yeah.
do, absolutely. And
Yeah.
mine's not as important, but I will absolutely keep you updated on how tomorrow goes.
Yes,
Um,
please do. And I look forward to watching the little clips on Instagram, and wish you well.
Yeah, they might take a little while to edit. I don't know when.
Oh, that's
You know,
okay. Yeah.
we've sort of said we'll give each other plenty of time to edit all the stuff. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you
Uh-huh.
know. But yeah, it's going to be very exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. But
Awesome.
that sounds great, Martin. And how's the golf coming? Going all right? Your golf?
I got to play a round of golf yesterday at the world famous Southern Hills Country
Oh
Club,
wow. Mm-hmm.
where Tiger won a US. Was it a US Open? No, it was the PGA in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Thomas won the PGA there a couple of years ago. Retief Goosen won the
Mm-hmm.
US Open there. So we've had, a large number of majors there. It's a very exclusive club. So, when you get the invite to go play, I will never, ever say no. And so
Absolutely,
we
yeah.
had, we had a great time yesterday playing the course. I managed to shoot a 72, which
Oh, nice.
I drove the ball wonderfully. But everything from fairway to green didn't go so well. But
Yeah.
managed to shoot 72, and I'm happy with that because it's only my, I think, third round of the year so far. So
Wow.
haven't been playing too much. But
Yeah,
now
yeah.
the weather's changing. It's getting
Mm-hmm.
warmer, and so hope to play at least a couple times a month now.
Yeah, you got the same sort of
Yeah.
climate as we have when it comes to that sort of
Hmm.
getting out of the cold and the damp
Yeah.
conditions.
I'm
Yeah,
a
the
fair
weather's
weather
turning
golfer
here.
now.
About
Yeah.
15 degrees here now, which
Okay.
feels really
That's
warm.
manageable. That's
Yeah.
manageable. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we were like, we're considering shorts over here. That's
Oh
that's
wow.
sort of.
Yeah.
I won't be getting the pins out tomorrow though. That is a bit
Yeah.
too white for that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, that sounds amazing that round though, and that's a
Yeah.
great score. And the driver
Hmm.
was going well, the crank was going
Oh,
well, hitting the ball
yeah.
well.
Crank was going well. Hit a couple of long ones. And yeah, so my thumb is recovering nicely from
Brilliant.
the surgery.
Hmm.
It's probably 90% pain free, so I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged.
Fantastic.
Maybe by the summer, all the pain will be gone, and I can play a lot of golf. Yeah,
Yeah, and we can get you sort of working towards that senior tour.
that's seniors. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Absolutely, we got to see you out there because I saw John
Yeah.
Daly using a crank the other day. He's
Oh,
got
was
crank
he?
in the bag.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So people are getting wind of it, I think, properly.
Yeah, I
Um,
one of my favorite drivers ever. I don't know. I just really like the feel, and I hit it pretty straight, and I know where it's going, and
yeah,
it's almost on autopilot. Yeah.
all you can ask for. All you can
Yeah.
ask for. Just somewhat know where it's going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Martin, and I
Oh,
hope
Dave,
everyone
thank.
enjoyed
Yeah.
this episode. And we'll, Martin's going to be one of those people that we're gonna talk to many times. One
Mhm.
because his voice is maybe the easiest to listen to in golf. Trevor Immelman, he's okay. He's okay.
He's a
But
close second, right?
we've got Martin.
Yeah.
That's what we've got at the BirDie Golf Club podcast. So thanks,
Oh,
Martin.
you're very welcome, Dave. Thanks for having me on, and I look forward to next time.
Absolutely. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.